Wow.
What? This is
okay. That was terrible.
Did you turn off music on accident?
Yeah, did I turn? Maybe. Yo, what the f?
Wait, what?
Why would they make this mode?
Oh
yeah,
my.
The music was on.
It was a good game.
Your guess is as good as mine as to why they threw this one in, but I don't want the quality of free play to diminish the excellence that is Talking Points. One of the best presentation games, one of the best Jackbox games. If you're comfortable putting yourself out there, then Talking Points is an easy recommendation from me. Lastly, we have Blather Round, essentially being Jackbox's take on charades. Blather Round is all about guessing the secret word your opponent has chosen, which is either a person, place, or thing. 2 to 6 players, making this the only game in the pack not to support 8. Start by choosing from a list of 3 words. One of them is labeled easy, which I'd recommend avoiding if you can. They only provide half points. Rarely are they ever easier than the other prompts. And throughout the many games of Blather Round I have played, it seems like the descriptors they give to use for easy prompts are way more vague than standard prompts. Speaking of which, after choosing a prompt, you are asked to describe it given the limited set of words provided to use. The column on the left generally being adjectives, and the column on the right being nouns. For example, I described my prompt, which was Pop-Tart, as a flat, delicious item. Keep in mind, you can select multiple words from each column if it helps. One by one, players present their description they made for their prompt, and guessers, well, try to guess what it is. The current presenter can click on the guesses rolling in to help provide more clues. During my Pop-Tart prompt, someone guessed pancake, so I selected that and said it has the same vibe as pancake, to steer their guesses more towards breakfast items. While it's inferred you can't talk as a presenter or verbally ask questions as a guesser, I'd argue anything within Blather Round is fair game, so don't be afraid to think outside the box and submit answers the presenter can use to guide the guessers in the right direction. For example, if the subject is story, you could submit stuff like movie, book, show, so that the presenter can select one of those and be like, it's a lot like show. And just like that, you know that whatever the prompt is, it exists in the medium of a show, which helps narrow things down a lot. You get 2 minutes of guessing per prompt, and if the word is guessed, both the presenter and the person who guessed it get points. You also get some points if one of your guesses was used in a hint by the presenter. Once everyone gets a chance to present, you move on to round 2, which follows the same set of rules with no additional rules or changes. And once that round concludes, points are tallied up and a winner is declared. Easily the most plainly presented game in the pack. Blather Round gets a pretty bad rap by most fans in the community. You'll often hear people say this is the worst game in Pack 7. Although given how hard I went on Devils in the Details, you can probably guess that's not a sentiment I agree with. Despite the lesser reputation this game gets, I have a friend group that likes this game so much, they bought Pack 7 just for Blather Round. That is no joke. Sure, Blather Round is a pretty basic game, all things considered, but it's a great wind-down game in a pack that is otherwise filled with high-energy inclusions. The great thing about a game like Blather Round is that it can still be played with people who have different sensibilities than you. While the enjoyment of a game like Talking Points is often dependent on the people you decide to play with, Blather Round can be enjoyed with just about anyone. In fact, this game will even work if you're playing with muted players over Discord. I don't really get when people play these games muted. To me, it's kind of missing the whole point of the series. But if you do decide to play these games without a mic, Blather Round works about as well in a scenario where no one can talk as one where people can, since regardless if you're a guesser or a presenter, all of the gameplay happens on screen. Again, since this is basically charades, any conversation about the ongoing game could even be considered cheating. I only really have 2 complaints of this game. The first is the player limit. I don't see any reason why it caps out at 6. I mean, sure, there's still an audience feature, which, by the way, audience members get to try to vote for the answer alongside the in-game players, but only allowing up to 6 players has prevented me from loading it up on numerous occasions. My only guess as to why they limited it to 6 is because maybe they feared it would make the game too long, but you would think, if anything, the runtime wouldn't change that much since the more players you have, the more people you have guessing the prompt, which would also give the presenter more to work with. But even if additional players would drastically increase the runtime, this could have easily been countered by reducing the number of rounds from 2 to 1 when you have an exceptionally large group of people. The second critique is scoring. If a prompt is guessed almost immediately after the round starts, the presenter, not the guesser, is awarded a massive amount of points. The first player made description can only be so good, so to give the presenter all the credit for what usually amounts to the guesser getting lucky doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. If anything, the guesser and presenter should be awarded an equal amount of points, because a game like this is just as much about the presenter giving helpful hints as it is about the guesser providing good answers. While Blather Round has its shortcomings, it's still a great game I don't think gets the credit it deserves. It's a game I do think gets better the more you play it. Once you learn how to efficiently be a presenter or guesser is when the game really shines.
Let's go!
It's a game for everyone, but keep in mind my advice
Don't die at the triple spike.
Work with to narrow down the subject. If you
Oh!
to give Blatherround a try, for a
Let's
lot of
go!
people, I think that will be the missing piece for you to find enjoyment in this game. And ultimately, it is a game
I was not
do think
expecting
is
that.
worth your time. But that concludes Pack 7. While I don't think Pack 7 is as airtight as Pack 3, it's still a very solid selection of
277.
games. And
Not bad.
as I said at the start of the video,